Hello and welcome to Surveyor Says, the podcast from the National Society of Professional Surveyors. Each week, we bring you fascinating guests that are involved in the profession of surveying. My name is Tim Burch, and I'm the Executive Director for the National Society of Professional Surveyors and your host for the podcast. Subscribe to the podcast on most of your favorite streaming platforms, as well as our podcast host, Podbean. For more information about the podcast and NSPS, please visit our website, nsps.us.com. So, without further delay, here's our next episode of Surveyor Says, the NSPS Podcast. Hello and welcome to another episode of Surveyor Says. This is your host, Tim Burch, and I am on location. We are in Spokane, Washington at the LSAW 2026 conference. I met this young man back in Minnesota at the YSN, I guess it was technically the Americas conference. Yeah. And so was able to quiz you all on a panel discussion, and it was very well attended. It was very well received, but I knew after meeting him and just kind of hearing his name floating around, I really wanted to sit down with him. So when I had an opportunity to come to this conference, I said, Milad, we got to sit down. We got to talk, because I want to hear your story, because to see you and see your interactions here, I mean, the volunteerism, the Northwest Surveyor, the LSAW Young Surveyors stuff, just everywhere I look, you're there. So I'm curious, who is Milad? Where did you come from? What drives you? And, what's your story? So tell me a little bit about you.
It's good to see you again, Tim, and welcome to Washington. Yeah,
thank you.
Thank you. I hope you kind of are seeing the things I talked about when we were on the panel about surveying out here in the landscape.
Oh yes,
that and yeah. I mean, I don't even know where to begin with telling you about myself, but I grew up in Arizona. I've lived here in the Northwest for the last 8 years now, down in the Portland area. So I'm one of those who lives in one state, but is pursuing licensure and committing a lot of time in another state in Washington. And a lot of that has to do with not only being a student of a college that has a program in Washington, but also the support and the backing of the association here in Washington towards students and everything they've done. It feels like I want to give back to that and pay back to that. And
sure.
So,
and what college is that?
Clark College.
Clark College. We got to give them a shout out.
Penguins, man.
Yeah,
Penguins.
We got to give them a shout out.
Yeah. So they have a great 2-year surveying geomatics program. They are one of, I think, they're one of 3 now in the state, and hopefully just continuing to expand that program, maybe make it into a 4-year bachelor's program. We'll see.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, and on the outside chance that Tim Kent is listening, Tim 2 says hi to Tim 1. We were on the CST board together, and Tim is a fantastic guy, and I hope he does hear this, because your program is turning out wonderful students. But no, okay, so you're up here, you're going to college there, you're trying to get your license in Washington. Why survey? What got you into the surveying world?
Believe it or not, this is I mean, I'm 37 now, and this is like so many others, this is a second career for me. I was working for a bank, for a large US bank, for a long time, and in that time I decided, you know what, this career it's great, it has a lot of great benefits, but internally I'm not there. It's not bringing the joy, and the passion that I want to feel when I'm doing something, whether it's working or any kind of labor. And luckily for me, I have a photography business on the side here, and that carried me through the last 10 years of just doing that full time. But how I got into surveying was really because of my father. He's a civil engineer, and growing up, I would go work, go to little job sites and stuff with him. I loved hanging out with him, and I thought the world of him, and still always think the world of him. But he worked with a surveyor on certain projects very frequently, and in that time, being out with my dad and on the sites, I got to spend some time with this man, and he really opened my eyes to, what surveying is. And I don't remember his exact way of describing it, but I just remember the way he explained it. It was, as a kid, my imagination was just like, wow, like,
Right.
I mean, I remember him talking about just like, these buildings, these roads, they don't just appear here.
Yes, exactly.
They're here because me and other people like me said that's where they need to go.
Right.
And something about that just really resonated with me because, it's one of those things where you don't realize it's like a question in the back of your head that like, yeah, how do they figure all this stuff out? How do they figure out where, what goes where and how high and how deep, yeah. So ever since I was a kid, it's just the field of surveying was always in the back of my mind. And it wasn't until recently where things kind of really lined up for me, where I had the opportunity to be able to pursue a second career. I have a really wonderful support from my wife, and she really pushed me to take the chance. And as soon as she gave me the green light, I went head first and went full blown into the schooling and just getting as involved as I could with the school, with YSN, with LSAW. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's awesome. Well, and you hit on something that it is so good to have a solid support system at home.
Yes.
That trying to do this all on your own so it's no, I know what it feels like to have a solid support at home, and it's what we got to have.
Yeah.
So pause there. So I'm going to turn the lights back on.
Oh, just motion. Good.
Motion. Okay. So we can do that again. I think I had all that out, or maybe not. Or, who knows? We'll see what happens. We'll see what happens. Goes. So, all right. So you're in the banking industry. Photography. I mean, has this just been I'll say a hobby, but obviously it was a business for a while. Just something you've been interested in most of your life?
It was a hobby. It started as a hobby, and it slowly became a business because it went from friends seeing what I do with a camera, and hey, my sister-in-law or my sister's getting married and they don't want to pay for a photographer, but I know you know how to use the camera. Do you want to take some photos? And we'll give you cash under the table so that and that just expanded. It went from friends to friends of friends to friends of friends of friends, and now I've been very fortunate to travel in multiple parts of the world to shoot weddings, elopements. I also shoot surf photography, which is really what I love.
Yes.
Yeah, getting in the ice cold Pacific Ocean and Indian Ocean, and that for me is also just it's wonderful because just being in nature in that way, for me is very resetting. It allows me to just find some time with myself and just be at peace with my life. Sure. I hope it's just a little, yeah.
Well, I'm gonna throw you a curveball question because that's something I've always thought about. Photography and surveying is really both activities are capturing that moment in time.
Yeah.
Whether you're topoing something to say, okay, this is the way the surface of this land is right now, or you're capturing a breaking wave or
Right.
a wedding or whatever. So, I mean, you get some sort of the same pleasure out of that.
Yes. I mean, absolutely. And again, just being here in the Northwest, there's such beautiful and stunning landscapes that you walk up to, and you're about to. I stand there for a minute. I just kind of like take it in. One for just a second to just think about. I can't believe I'm doing this for a job, but to also really just appreciate the natural environment that I get to do it in. But yeah, they go hand in hand. They absolutely go hand in hand. I mean, in one way or another, you are interacting in a very beautiful natural area, and you're doing something you love.
Very good.
Yeah.
Very good. All right. So you've progressed into surveying. You're taking classes, working at a surveying firm. I guess if you had to pick one thing right here early in your career, what do you enjoy doing the most when you get an opportunity to go out on a job?
I mean, just retracements, boundary retracements are just my joy, man. I love it. I absolutely love it. We live in a really, the area we work in has such historic records of survey to go back to and look at and retrace. And whether it's you come across what is it, like a 3-inch axle or a 5/8 rod. It's every day it's awesome. It's my favorite thing about my job.
Yep. Well, we probably should give Nick a little bit of a shout.
Yeah, Nick LaFond. Yep. Yeah. He's all over the boundary retracement industry, man. It just one day clicked for him that that's what he wants to do, and I'm really grateful that he decided that, because I get to do that with him.
Right. Yeah. What's the name of the company?
1LS Survey.
1LS. There you go. Yeah, there you go.
And I just want to make this clear. So if another LS does come on, the name doesn't change to 2LS. Okay. It just stays 1LS. I'm 1LS. So if anyone listens and they were thinking about that, there's your answer.
There's your answer. No. We appreciate Nick giving you the opportunity to come and do these types of things and giving you the freedom to be able to do that. So, all right. So we're here at LSAW. Tell us, like I said, I've seen you everywhere. So how did you get yourself so immersed into this whole organization, this whole atmosphere of the conference?
Honestly, just showing up and asking how can I? And not asking because, I just wanted the title of it. Asking because I wanted access to the education, the experience, Alex, who's the YSN state coordinator for Washington, said that exact same thing. And I believe this. There's young surveyors coming in that they don't want the title. They want access to the education, the resources.
Right.
And when she said that, it resonated so deeply with me, because that's exactly why, asked Nolan Marks, how can I get involved more with YSN on the national level? Asking my professors and Tim Kent, how can I get involved here in Washington? And it's just a matter of wanting to be here.
Exactly.
That's
Well, and that's unfortunately that's been the knock from the big generation of surveyors to the younger millennials, Gen Z, is that, well, you're lazy, you don't want to talk to anybody, you just want to stay to yourself and whatever. And I got to be honest, I look at you and I go, where the hell did you get that from? Because this guy is just all over the place, and being, and it's not just being a smarty pants everywhere. It's being there to ask the questions, to be there to gather the information. I think that's what I've been so impressed. See, wherever all the places I've seen you, is that you're so engaged with everything.
Yeah, and I think I just owe a lot of that to, my personality is just more on the extroverted side of things. You kind of have to be also, if you're like photographing weddings, you can't you have to be a little bit, a lot of people.
Yep.
But that, a lot of that was kind of formulated through, doing that. But also, our industry as land surveyors, I think everyone knows that there is a degree of desirability of wanting to just kind of, be on your own, be by yourself. A lot of people find the appeal of, being out in the field, but you're on your own. You don't have to answer to anyone or anything like that. However, I do think that when there's like a general, blanketed statement where it's like, well, you're lazy and all this stuff, and I would challenge those people to make an effort to, try talking to some of those people that you think are lazy, and
right,
and see if they prove you wrong, because I feel like they will.
Because truth be known, the baby boomers, Gen Z, even my generation, I think that was the reason a lot of us got in, or not myself, but a lot of people got into surveying is so they could go into the woods and be alone.
Yeah,
right, or whatever. That was the perception,
the real thing.
So, but the fact is that you're making such a big splash here, because you're yearning for that knowledge, and the more outgoing you are, the more connections you make, the more opportunities you have, and that's what I appreciate about watching you work.
Thank you, I appreciate. No, I believe in human connectivity. I think it's very important. I think it's necessary. Might be different for each person as to how much of that they need.
Right.
But especially in this industry, there's a gap between generations of those who have been in the profession for a while, and the numbers that are coming in, and I think it's really important to have conversations, because there's a lot of lessons that you might not hear about at an LSAW conference, speakers, exhibit, but you can definitely pick it up if you just sit down and ask the question with another person, hey, can you tell me what's something you've learned, or what's one of the hardest surveys you've done?
Oh, exactly.
You know,
And,
There's
you know,
nothing that-
at the end of the day, most surveyors like telling those stories.
yeah,
They like passing it on.
yeah,
And so, to take the initiative and prompt them to do it, maybe that's what has to happen. And we just need to be a little more forthcoming and getting that done.
yeah,
I'm going to take it a little step back because I think we're seeing a little bit of I don't want to say a renaissance within the surveying profession, but you're almost the prototype for, you started into a career in your 20s and it, did what you did for a while and found out, that wasn't your passion. That wasn't your goal in life.
Yeah.
And you stood up and said, I'm going to make a change. That obviously had to be a hard decision.
yeah. Very difficult. It's very scary.
But you did it.
Yeah.
And that way, I guess my point is, for those out there that are contemplating in their late 20s, early 30s, I'm just not happy doing whatever it is I had to go to school to do.
Yeah.
Keep an open mind. And that doesn't mean everybody has to turn to surveying, but
Sure.
keep an open mind. Go after what makes you happy.
Absolutely.
And I guess that's one thing that I've appreciated being around you is you're a happy guy.
You gotta be. What's the other choice?
Right? So, oh, exactly. And that's what, as Chris said, it's infectious. So that's the reason I really appreciate being around you and seeing how you influence others as well. And it's really good to see. Can you tell us a little bit about LSAW, the Young Surveyors Network? The whole Northwest Surveyor push and all of that. Can you tell us a little bit about what's going on here? That was a substantial booth you have here. A lot of good swag, sweatshirts. A lot of great stuff. And what's it been like being part of that, trying to help put that together?
Yeah, I can't take credit for the Northwest Land Surveyor. That's that was up and running before, I think maybe even before I really got involved with surveying. However, being at the booth this weekend and speaking with a lot of people who come through it, seeing the expression of people when you tell them, this is an initiative that's in our region that is essentially trying to create resources for young surveyors who are looking for jobs and mentorship and things like that. Just the look of surprise, because a lot of people didn't even know that that exists or that the state is doing something like that. And between Oregon and Washington, and that just, I'm in my head, I just can't help thinking like, wow, imagine what some of these other states might experience if they decide to do the same thing as well. Maybe it's worth looking into that every state tries an initiative like this. But between YSN and between the Young Surveyors Network and Northwest Land Surveyor, I think that Washington in particular just does an extraordinary job of recognizing the importance of giving young surveyors the resources,
Mm-hmm.
and not only that, but also getting the understanding and knowledge of surveying into younger generations, not even just college, but high school, middle school. Our I know our state has all the chapters have initiatives or do things where they get involved with the middle schools and the high schools, and they don't go in there and just go like a chain and all. They don't do that. But they talk about drones, they talk about the technology that we use and are continuing to grow our profession towards. They're starting to show these kids like, you like drones, you think drones are cool, you like flying, like this, you could be doing this, and I think that the association here in Washington does a really great job of making sure that there's a conversation and that there's actions behind those conversations.
Well, and the interesting thing is, and that I'm going to say this does predate you, between Washington and Oregon, when the start of the Young Surveyors back in 2014 in San Diego. A couple of the the OGs of that. Chris Glantz, from Oregon. I don't remember her married name. It was Amanda Askren. Is it Amanda Free? I think now.
Okay.
Past president. Amanda was huge in that opening creation of YSN. So that's always been up here. I've always been impressed with how forthcoming the YSN's been here. So you're carrying on a great tradition up here with you and Alex and a few others. So
yeah, and I mean just to build on the what's coming out of here for YSN. I mean, the creation of that's one thing. I mean, Alex has put together an entire mentorship, mentor-mentee program that's being rolled out throughout the entire country, where young surveyors can connect with surveyors who are in the profession currently and are licensed and sharing experiences, and not only in just the profession, but just in everyday life experiences too, the balance of work and personal life, or conflict resolution things, a lot of topics.
Right. And that's what in a session I was in with her earlier, and that's one thing she explained about the mentor-mentee program, is that is one opportunity to share the soft skills with a mentor. And I think he also gives the opportunity to swap roles and be a mentor-mentee the other way, especially with the younger generation that's tackling the technology. And so that was going to be my next question, is because I'm jealous of the younger generation and going out and doing this work with modern technology versus us traversing through the woods. How, I guess, not necessarily how difficult is it to grasp using this modern technology, but it is trying to use modern technology to retrace old means and methods.
Mm-hmm.
So it does take a little bit of an understanding of, okay, this was 14 chains, 16 links or whatever, and you're going and making these connections of walking this line or finding these points. I imagine it's got to be a little bit of a challenge using the new technology, tracing old deeds.
Yeah. And, we, at my company personally, we don't really, we're not using, like 3D scanners and things like that. So I can't really speak to that regard, but I think that trying to find the way to connect those two very different, perspectives, or not. I think we do that. I'm sorry, but like, trying to connect those two different, topics. I think a lot of that comes back to just education, making that connection in the classroom, possibly. There's a lot of surveying programs around the country that, are really pushing GIS education and emerging technology education. And then you have surveyors, professionals who carry the knowledge of how they used to do things with, like you were mentioning, chain and all that, and traversing.
They don't have those bases.
Yeah. And they don't have those bases, right? And so maybe it goes back to conversations. I don't.
Right. Well, and that's exactly it. It's exactly it. And because there is some, I mean, we're working with old deeds and old notes and GLO plats and various things that you do have to somehow relate back to that. I'm not saying we get rid of modern technology. Absolutely not. It's so, I mean, I think of the days actually traversing around a section to get all four corners, where now it's just drive up there, boom, 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 shoot it, go, and check the occupation of various things. I mean, I wouldn't traded that for anything.
Sure.
But it is having an understanding of how this was done, how this was laid out.
And I think, I mean, and just to kind of piggyback on that, I think something that's also important is showing up to things like your association's conferences, no matter what, how deep in your career you are, or how new you are, showing up to these things. Because I mean, I'm seeing here in our exhibition room, you've got these companies with technology, and they're showing the surveyors exactly how it works right there. And you see surveyors who have been in the industry for 20, 30 years, standing right alongside like a 22-year-old fresh out of high school kid who's just eyes are glazed over because they're just loving the technology.
Yes. It's a lot to take in.
So I think showing up for your associations, showing up at your offices has a lot of value in it.
I think so too.
Yeah.
Well, that's all I've ever known.
Like at every conference.
Well, but it's something that was something that was ingrained in me early.
Sure.
Was not necessarily looking at your fellow chapter members or your fellow state members. I mean, those are your contemporaries. They're not necessarily competitors.
No.
And we can help each other. They've done something you haven't, and maybe you've done something they haven't. And in sharing those stories, that's how we'll learn. So that's all good stuff. Going to be cognizant of time, be respectful of your time. I appreciate you taking time to do this, but I got to finish up with my last question. Based upon everything you've seen and based upon where things are at in your life, how does the future of surveying look to you?
It looks bright. I say that because I've spent a lot of time the last few days speaking to newer, younger surveyors coming in, and surveyors who this is their last year and they're about to retire. And I feel really excited about what's on the horizon. I think that as long as there's opportunities and conversations happening where we're not completely abandoning the next generation of surveyors just because we've been, you're a senior surveyor and you're done and you're like, cool, I don't have to worry about it anymore.
Right.
As long as that isn't becoming a theme,
right?
I think there's a big there's going to be a big comeback for this profession in terms of growth, in terms of value, and in terms of desirability to have a career in serving. Whether it's learning about it earlier on in your school experience or your school career. I don't know what
or making a wonderful transition into something that really brings you joy.
Exactly.
So, well, thank you again for taking time. Like I said, ever since I met you in Minnesota, I wanted to sit down and have this conversation because I was just, I knew there had to be an interesting story behind what gets you here and what gets you pumped up. And, by golly, you have one, and I
appreciate you too.
So, no, that's some good stuff. Thank you. Keep your eye out for this guy. Milad's going to be all over the place. You're going to see him in a lot of different places going forward. I predict big things for you.
Thanks.
So,
thank you very much.
And we'll see you at the student competition in the spring.
Yeah, I got as my school. Yes, defend the title.
There you go. Looking forward to seeing you down there again. Well, that'll wrap it up for this week's episode of Surveyor Says. Wherever you listen to your podcast, hit that subscribe button, and we'll see you soon. Thanks. You've been listening to Surveyor Says, the NSPS Podcast, brought to you by the National Society of Professional Surveyors. If you have any questions about today's episode or any other topic, please email us at info@nsps.us.com, as we are here to help. Subscribe to the podcast on most of your favorite streaming platforms, as well as our podcast host, Podbean. For more information about the podcast and NSPS, please visit our website, nsps.us.com. And remember, it's a great day to be a surveyor.